Coming to Kindle Unlimited this April, E-Steam Goddess of Hell's Aspiring Angel takes on a demonic dominatrix in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Pre-order your copy of E-Steam Goddess of on Kindle Unlimited or pick up the paperback today. I recently read several articles that stated that American men and Western men aren't having sex like their parents or their grandparents used to. And there is a reason why American men and Western men aren't having sex anymore. And that core reason is 50 years of feminism. Thanks to 50 years of feminism, we have seen a wall placed between men and women here in America and the West. And that wall started to get built higher in the era of Me Too. Now, in this era of Me Too, a man can lose his freedom and his safety all due to the allegations of a woman. And this is why most men have decided to minimize their interactions with a woman, because 5 minutes of sexual pleasure with a female is not worth a man losing his freedom the way Bill Cosby lost his freedom once he was convicted for a trumped-up sexual assault charge led by prosecutor Kevin Steele, or the way Albert Wilson, the young man in Kansas, was given 12 years in prison, all for kissing a white girl. So men are looking at these cases in court where men are losing their freedom, all based on an allegation related to a woman, and those allegations are causing those men to rethink the way they have social interactions with women. And with the Me Too movement going on right now, and a man possibly losing his job, his career, and even his freedom, all due to an allegation of alleged sexual harassment, sexual assault, or even sexual violence, this has led men to avoid having interactions with women that they had in the past that led to initial contact, or a relationship, or even a casual sexual relationship. Because even a basic social interaction, even just a look at a woman, can get a man fired these days, and even a casual good morning can get a man brought up on sexual assault charges. So most men in America and the West, they have decided to walk away from American women, and that's why they're not having sex with women, because they just don't want to put their job at risk, they don't want to put their career at risk, and they don't want to wind up in prison. And this is something most people don't understand, and they'll write articles and say things like 30% of men are incels, but in actuality, what has happened is men have adapted and decided to choose alternatives in order to find sexual gratification. And those alternatives include things like sex dolls and pornography, and they would rather deal with sex dolls and pornography and have their safety and their freedom rather than get involved in a sexual relationship with a woman that could possibly lead to them winding up in prison, all because this woman got upset because you didn't call her, you didn't text her, or you just simply disagreed with her over something trivial like the toilet seat. So this is why many American men and Western men are not having sex anymore. Now, there are other reasons why American men aren't having sex anymore, and these have to do with the complete changes in our economy. Now, I go in depth on these changes in our economy in my book, The Man Crisis, as related to the job market, because the job market has completely changed, and because the job market has completely changed, that has changed the way men and women have sex out here. Now, back in the 1980s and 1960s, men primarily were the breadwinners, and this is the reason why men and women had a lot of sex, because women are attracted to men who can be providers. And because men were making money, most women were attracted to men who made money, because women are naturally hypergamous and they are looking for the men who have the most resources. Unfortunately, thanks to feminism, we have had a large influx of women into the job market over the last 50 years. And as these women have entered into these management and executive positions, what has happened is your hypergamous females are now looking towards higher tiered economic brackets of men, and 80% of those women are now chasing the top 20% of men. What is worse than the 80% of women chasing the top 20% of men is that you have a lot of these women inside of these human resource departments at these corporations and businesses, and they are cutting off opportunities for men to get work. And that's the reason why we have such poor participation of men in the job market, and why men, only 7% of men these days, are actively looking for work, because most men just can't get a job in America's new gynocentric job market and gynocentric workforce, because women primarily are the managers and executives at these jobs, and they have erected a brick wall in front of the human resource department where most men would go to look for their first jobs. And because there is a brick wall erected, no men can get in. And because no men can get into the job market, this is what's preventing a lot of men from being able to have sex, because what makes a man sexually attractive to a lot of women is the ability to go out and take care of himself and possibly be able to provide for them, because women are attracted to men who have resources. Unfortunately, men can't get access to economic resources because there are gatekeepers in front of the human resource departments denying men opportunities at work. Because another part of female nature that people don't understand is that when women are placed in places like the human resource department and executive positions, is that they nest. And when they nest, what happens is those females want to keep things the way they actually are, and they don't want anything to really change. And this is why they will gatekeep in front of the human resource department and deny men opportunities, because they know that one, men are naturally competitive, and two, men are going to go into a job looking to gain experience, and then three, they're looking to change things. And women don't want to change anything because of their natural nesting behavior. So this is the core reason why most men can't enter the job market. And because they can't enter the job market, this is why those men cannot get access to the resources that would make them sexually attractive to women. And most of those women, they are sitting there, they're just creating this brick wall, which is stagnating everything. And unfortunately, most Americans and most people in the West can't connect the dots to why American men aren't having sex. It is not because they are incels, it is because they are not having anyone invest any sort of resources into them, or anybody investing any sort of time to teach many of these males how to be men. Over the last 50 years, we have gone out of our way to empower women, and as we have gone out of our way to empower women, we have abandoned 3 generations of men. And because those men were denied access to their fathers and relationships with their fathers. A lot of them don't know how to survive in the world. A lot of them don't know how to set a course for themselves in the world. And the women who were supposed to have taught them how to become men, those women have abandoned those men. A lot of them due to the emotional issues they had with the boy's father or previous boyfriends, and a lot of them project their anger at those men in places like human resource departments when those men try to go out and get jobs, and others because they want to nest and keep the country the way it is right now in a dysfunctional state. What they want to do is they don't want anything to change, and the sad part is if nothing changes, the entire whole world falls apart because with birth rates on a decline in this country, American men not having sex is a troubling thing because if we don't have a population to replace the current population, that means America and the culture of America has the possibility of dying off. And the only way to change this course is for there to be an investment in men, an effort to empower men, because if we invest in men and empower men, that can lead to the next phase for America. Because right now, America and the West are in a major process of stagnation, and that process may be headed towards a decline. Because if your American men are not out here putting in work and designing new innovations and new inventions, or they're not going out here to pursue relationships with women, what's going to happen is you're going to have an economic crisis in the future. Because when you have companies run by women and those women are nesting and the beta males who work under them are nesting, they're not taking risks, they're not exploring new challenges, and that's going to lead to those companies stagnating and declining, and that's going to lead to layoffs, which may lead to a long-term economic recession, which may possibly turn into an economic collapse. It is only when men are allowed an opportunity to return to a position of manhood and masculinity is seen as something valuable again, that we can reverse the course as related to America. Because if men aren't allowed to have power in America, then they have no incentive to go out here. Women have no incentive to pursue them or sexual relations with them, and then they have no interest in going out here and having families. And this is the main reason why so many men are sitting in front of video games these days, because they have been denied an opportunity to be able to go out in the world by women, and these women want to hold on to that power because they fear the world changing if men come back to power. But the only way for America to move forward again is with that investment in men and an investment in empowering men, because the only reason a man has an incentive to pursue a relationship with a woman is if he is in an environment where his freedom is guaranteed, if he has not done anything wrong, and his safety is protected by the courts of law. And that man has an incentive to go out here and pursue sexual relationships with women if those rights are given to him. Unfortunately, what has happened over the last 3 to 4 years is that men have lost their rights, and because men have lost their rights, they have lost incentive to go out here and be a part of society, because they fear for their safety, they fear for their freedom, and they would rather be free with their video games than put all of that in jeopardy to get involved with women. What has happened right now is we have men who have no rights, and that's why they are not participating in parts of society, and they're not participating in the economy. And again, that's going to lead to an economic crisis in the future, because it is men who go out here and buy women things like engagement rings. It's men who go out here and buy women gifts from stores. And it is men who go out here and buy things like toys for children at places like the now defunct Toys R Us. And as men start withdrawing from society, that's going to have a long-term impact on the economy. And that's something people aren't thinking about, because the more you push men out of society and push them away from relationships with women, the more damage you do to the long-term economy. So men not having sex with women is another symptom of the cancer known as feminism on society. And this cancer of feminism and this Me Too movement is doing long-term damage to the U.S. economy. And it's also doing damage to male-female relations, because women primarily get their needs met by men. And if men are not allowed to participate in society, what happens is the whole society falls completely apart. So all of those men are not having sex, not because they don't want to have sex, but they're not having sex because they don't consider the environment safe for them to have sex. So that's something most of these studies aren't thinking about, because most of these studies just don't understand the depth and complexity of the man crisis, because this man crisis is the core reason why men aren't having sex, because men they fear for their safety, and they just can't get access to the economic system which will provide them the resources that will make them appear attractive to women. And it's those resources that make the man appear attractive enough to the woman that she develops some sort of sexual interest in him. Because when it comes down to the female, she is hypergamous, and her female nature draws attractiveness to men who are working, making money, and building. Those are men she considers attractive enough to want to have a sexual relationship with. And again, those men can't be made in a gynocentric workplace and a gynocentric society that is all about empowering women, and with third wave feminists out here out to destroy men. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to learn more why men are withdrawing from society, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, and the iBookstore. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. The ISIS graphic novel Indiegogo is live. Help me publish the first comic book featuring the goddess next door by putting in a pledge today.